Welcome back to another hour of Scotch Hour. My name's Noah.
And I'm Jesse.
All right, this is episode 150. This evening, our lineup includes Glenfiddich 23-year-old Grand Cru, our shout-outs and get-it-togethers, followed by a restaurant review, which is actually a revisit to two restaurants, FuNuGyz and Twin Peaks. And then our smarter challenge is the importance of accountability. Jesse will give it a much better, proper introduction to it later on. Before we start jumping in here real quickly, thank you to all of our viewers and subscribers on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you, as well as all the many listeners on the many different podcast platforms you can listen to us on. We greatly appreciate all of you as well. Please, if you like our show, please hit that like button, share, and subscribe, and leave some comments down below. We'd be more than happy to respond to any of your comments. If we haven't done so yet, we do plan to eventually get to those. So it's not like we have a ton of them, but if we missed one, we apologize. So with that, let's get ready to rumble.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
Scotch Reviewed.
I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts.
This week's Scotch, the Glenfiddich Grand Cru 23-year matured Scotch, matured in both American and French oak, and then for its final 6 months, aged in a special rare exquisite French casks, which were holding white wine destined to become a well-renowned champagne. That's about as open as they get. They don't say, oh, hey, it was X or Y or Z, it was Bollinger or, who knows, any of the greats. Man, so many great champagnes. One of my favorite things.
Corbel. Although Corbel's sparkling wine.
Yeah.
Because they can't call it champagne.
Not from France. But you never know. I mean, it could be a damn Dom Perignon cask. However, I don't know that it's any of those, but we are about to enjoy quite a treat. So this Scotch is not for the faint of wallet. I don't know about the faint of heart, but not for the faint of wallet. The average liquor store right around here, when they rarely have it in stock, it's going for right around $410 a bottle. So with tax, about $450. Because golly, man, if they don't get you in inflation, they get you in tax. So with that, I'm super excited to try this. A little teeny bit about the Glenfiddich Distillery. It is located in Dufftown, Moray, so it is a Speyside single malt Scotch, originally founded in 1886. Its current owner and longtime owner, and you brought this up last time, I butchered it, it's William Grant and Sons. It's the 5th generation of this family that is now managing, and that's how they word it. I always love the angles. That's slanted with the wording of they now manage this for the 5th generation. It has been operational ever since its first run day, which was Christmas Day in 1887. That's when they first ran.
What a fun Christmas day.
All right. Yeah. Hell yeah. You kids, now you're done with the presents, Daddy's going to go have some fun. Make us all billionaires or something. Who knows? But with that, they've been running nonstop. Now, this is an amazing feat because most distilleries have mothballed or had to close their doors for short or long. However, in the 1920s, when Prohibition caused a lot of distilleries in Scotland to reduce their Scotch output or even close their doors, William Grant and Sons upped their production, which ultimately put them in a great position for the end of Prohibition. So when Prohibition was repealed, And they made great from that. Same thing in the 60s and 70s when everyone else was doing the blended scotches, William Grant and Sons, and there were a bunch of distilleries closing in the 60s and 70s. And also, William Grant and Sons again increased their production and focused on single malt scotches. Now, we mentioned during the last tasting with the Grand Reserve, the 21-year-old, one of the things that they did that was brilliant was their packaging. So in the 70s, they realized the importance of putting it in a canister or some packaging, A, to protect the bottle and the scotch, and B, as a form of advertising their product, to really sell it as more than just a single malt scotch, which definitely helped their business. They are the world's largest producer of scotch, and they are currently running 16 wash stills, 27 spirit stills. They have an annual output potential of 21 million liters a year. They also have not only the greatest production, but the most drinking scotch on this planet, which is the Glenfiddich 12-year, that green canister. If you can still find it, what's kind of interesting is lately it's been harder to find even Glenfiddich in their triangle-shaped tubes for their younger years. When I say younger, I'm not talking like 2, 4, 12, or well, I am talking about 12, but I'm really talking about 12, 14, 15, and 16, and 18, and beyond. We have had and been blessed to try a lot of great scotches from this Speyside distillery. One of the things to mention is the Robbie Dew Spring is their water source, and they're located right there off the river in Dufftown, Moray. And man, I am stoked to try this scotch. Lots of great history. You'll know them from the Stag. Now, this is a different Stag than the Dalmore has, but the Glenfiddich will be a treat. What do you want to add as far as potential tastings?
Well, I'm actually really looking forward to trying this Grand Cru. As far as like tours or anything like that, if you just go to a couple episodes back, you'll see that information. But real quickly, a real quick recap on that. They're currently offering 2 basic types of tours. We got the Glenfiddich Distillery Tour, which is about 1.5 hours long and costs it costs 25 Great British pounds. So I'm assuming with the exchange rate, it's going to be approximately like I don't know, roughly 28, 29 USD. It is only for 18 and older. So you cannot have young children accompanying you. And it's available on Wednesdays through Sundays from 9:30 is what it says here. So you do want to arrive 10 minutes early prior to your booking time. And if you're going to cancel, there is a 24-hour time frame in which to cancel your tour. Now, the other one is called Salerna Deconstructing, I believe, and that's 75 Great British pounds. It's 2.5 hours, so you're talking roughly for USD, probably like right around $82 to $83. This is an in-depth tour that will allow enthusiasts to discover their true art of whiskey making. Following the distillery tour, you'll visit Warehouse 8, home to their unique Solera process, and discover what makes their 15-year-old such an exceptional dram. Once again, you have to be 18 or older to attend this. It's only available on Thursdays and Saturdays at 2 p.m. And once again, you got to arrive 10 minutes early, and you have 24 hours in which to cancel your booking if you choose to just do that, if you choose to do so. That's pretty much it on the tour side.
All right. Well, Man, I'm sure these are some pretty great tours. One of the things in the 70s that Glenfiddich did, that was William Grant and Sons, one of their many generations that have been managing this, is they are one of the first distilleries that did have a visitor center. They brought this in, again, this advertising, this immersive experience to bring their consumers and the elite, probably back then, over to their distillery to really see and experience the making of it, the full experience, if you will. Not just that you're drinking the Kool-Aid, but you got to mix up the sugar and the powder and the water together. So Kool-Aid Man running through your door. One last thing to remember is we talked about this is the largest capacity in the world as far as Scotch. They produce roughly 35%. That's more than a third, for anyone who can do the simple math, more than a third of all the Scotch drinking on this planet. 35% is theirs, and it is sold in over 180 countries on this marvelously round planet. All right. Well, without further ado, we are going to dig right into this. First thing to note, the Grand Cru. Man, much like the Grand Reserva, great packaging, well done box, heavy duty, and on the front here, rotating door to hopefully heaven. So with that, just like the other, you pull down the rubber or foam stopper to release it from the top of the box. Even behind this beautiful dark glass bottle, there is a Glenfiddich flyer pamphlet, consider it a serial number, if you will, that talks even more about the experience, the taste, the innovation, and finally, the legacy of this Glenfiddich Scotch and Glenfiddich Scotches across the board. The bottle itself, man, beautiful, heavy duty, nothing to consider as faint from heart. The foil, man, we're praying for real wood here. That's what she said. And also solid cork. The foil is immaculately cut, if you will, or pinned so that it will tear easily. Oh, we're just skipping the wood. We're going straight to metal here. So we have skipped the wooden topper, and we have a engraved or pressed Glenfiddich metal topper. Oh, and of course, they always use their damn pressed cork. But nonetheless, man, this metal topper has some heft. Like, it's real metal. It's not just plated. I'm assuming maybe brass. Who knows?
That's pretty nice.
It's pretty damn heavy for, like, don't drop this, by the way, on our toes. With that, though, if you can tell by the gauge, this is thick glass. The bottle, the shape of the bottle is one thing that's really nice. Even if your hands were wet, you can hold on to this triangularly shaped bottle very easily. It is not light, though. That is thick glass. It is dark glass. And I am excited for this Scotch.
All right, it's time for our tastings and our warp speed. Cheers.
All right, cheers.
Grand Cru, 23-year-old by Glenfiddich. What an expression this is. I'll just start off right away. Black tie affair, hell yes. And since I went to the University of Colorado alumni event, most definitely black and gold. How can you not do that, right? Wow, what a this is an incredible expression from Glenfiddich. I honestly, like, after trying like their 12, 14, 15, 18, I wasn't quite sure they had something like this in them. Even their Grand Reserva was quite a big step up, even from like those normal ones. These higher end expressions are definitely a treat and well worth it. I would say. The presentation. What can I say about the presentation other than it's incredible? I love how they have it in the box there, that with the swivel, and then like the little like booklet behind. It's incredible, and even the inside, they do a masterful job of like sticking with the black and gold as well, to where it just makes for a great presentation. And actually, I think if I was having it, if I had it on my shelf. And even if it was empty and I had it on my shelf, I think because it's a black bottle, I would just like have it open like that, just to have it displayed because of how it has like the black and gold right behind it, rather than having be a closed box.
Yeah.
I'd probably do that more so if it was empty though, as opposed to if it was full, because if it was full, I don't really want light or too much stuff to really get to it. But if it's empty, well, who cares, right? At that point,
It's not going to be full long.
yeah, right. Okay. So presentation is obviously a 5 out of 5. The color, I love the color here. I have it as a nice amber gold color, 5 out of 5. Yeah, I really enjoyed that as well. Now for the nose, first impression. When you first poured it out into the little sifter type glass here. I think these are called sifters, right? Or snifters.
Close enough to me.
Yeah, okay, well, whatever they're called, right? When he poured that dram in this one, my first impression is that I got vanilla with sultanas, malt, a little bit of fig, some floral notes, and hints of banana. But then he poured it in a larger cup here, in a rocks glass, and it changed the profile slightly. I ended up getting a lot more peach. There was a little bit more. I got like maybe some like sandalwood, maybe as far as like wood would go. But the nose was phenomenal in either case. And really, I think depending on what kind of glassware that you're using, it does alter the nose slightly, but it's still enjoyable either way. So I gave that a 29 out of 30. Now, as far as a palate, here I have sugared almonds with vanilla, hints of lemon peel, buttered flaky croissant, and peaches. And it was the palate. Had a nice balance of like some like I said like a buttery pastry, like a flaky pastry, like a good croissant. But it also had like some that nice vanilla flavor with some like smoked almond. And near the end of of my palate for me, right before it goes into the finish, I get some peaches, which I really enjoyed. I thought this was a great great. I don't know, how should I say this? It was a delightful balance of sweetness, butter, vanilla that danced upon my palate. Which was extremely enjoyable. And this was actually the highlight for me as far as this particular scotch goes. And I think this is the first time I've ever done this, but I gave it a 30 out of 30.
So did I. I'm just going to shake that out right now. I was just like, the palate is perfect.
The palate, and it's not like it's not light body, but it's light enough. It's not quite medium to me, but it's not like a light body. It's like somewhere between medium and light. It's got medium light body maybe. But it just flows over smoothly. No funny film or anything like that coats your mouth. It was great. And then my finish, I put dry malt with hints of cocoa and pear sweetness and sandalwood. And it just like lingers there nice and neat. And honestly, I really enjoyed this finish. I didn't want it to end. And it made me crave more. So it makes me want to go back and drink more. And here I gave it a 29 out of 30. So a grand total of 98 points.
Damn. All right.
Yeah, I really, I think as I drink more of it and as it's open a little bit longer,
It's getting better.
it's getting better. And I honestly think, I hope like my 98 points is sufficient. But I think this is definitely, if you're going to splurge, or if you have a reason to celebrate, or if you just have the money to spend and you have that disposable income, I think this is a great bottle to enjoy that, either alone or with a good friend or a special occasion. I think it's one that people should, if you're a Scotch drinker, should have.
And this is our special occasion. This is episode 150 for Scotch Hour. So definitely worthy of this celebration. Man, our reviews are fairly similar. And I think it's exceptional. I'm right there with you with the packaging. Nothing else has to be said beyond what you already said. The packaging is phenomenal. The bottle, not even because of the black and gold, but I just love what they have done here. Plus with the box, again, not for the faint of heart. This is not a cheap Scotch, but damn, is it good? 5 out of 5 on presentation. I'm with you. The way this thing looks open with that bottle, dynamite. It is great. Color. Here's what I got to say about this color. I don't know why this gold, except for maybe the black glass, because it's not painted. It's not like the Octomore where you can't see through it. You can see through it. That is legitimate glass, and the black box and the gold. But man, whoever your sexiest Catwoman is, and I'm not even saying she has to be in one of the movies, not an actress. It can be someone you know, a friend, your wife, a girlfriend, whoever you want to see as Catwoman, in the sexiest night of your life. This is the Scotch she is drinking. That is this gold to me. This whole presentation, this is these Scotch that the sexiest Catwoman you can possibly imagine is drinking, because it is that smooth. And that's one of the things about Catwoman, man. She was smooth. Now, you get hit by the claws, it's not going to feel so smooth then, but otherwise, man.
That's tomorrow.
Yeah, she knows how to talk, she knows how to walk, and she knows how to impress. That is absolutely this Scotch. So 5 out of 5 for color. Again, just deep gold. This is the color of the Scotch that your perfect Catwoman would be drinking. On the nose, I also gave it a 29. Apple blossom or cherry blossom. It could be both for me. This most recent few sips, I've got more of the apple coming out all of a sudden. So maybe it is apple blossom, but I got that freshly baked, flaky bread just like you did. A little banana, just the slightest hint of almond, but it's also sweet and crisp, like a sugared lemon peel. Oh man, not like lemon zest. It's not biting. It's just like that slice of lemon peel with some sugar rubbed in. It is so perfect. And then the peach pop. It actually kind of pops at the beginning and at the end, depending on how recently you've had your sip. It is fantastic. So on the nose, a 29. On the palate, I already mentioned this. I also gave it a 30. The palate is so intricately layered. It's almost unbelievable. When I say layers, I am literally going between, and this is interesting because, God, I love sandalwood lotion on my face, but I never thought I'd want it in a drink. But a hint of sandalwood, followed by vanilla pear, followed by oak. Now that's followed by white grape, which is sweet. And then it doesn't go back to the oak, it goes to the vanilla, which makes sense because it's creamy. So now you got this like white grape, creamy vanilla. And then you mentioned croissant. I think that's a better word for it. I was going to say buttered bread, like buttered French bread. It is a croissant. It's that buttery bread, and then more peach, oak, and then all of a sudden, a little bit of spearmint pops out for me. And I love that because I would never look for it. But when you get it, It leaves that crisp, clean, like non-oily coating in your mouth, and it helps everything feel fresh. 30 for the palate. The finish, this one to me was the weak point. The finish gets a 28. So my total score is a 97, 1 point less than yours. The finish, though, it is long. It is opulent. I get that malt. I get the pear. And then I get that white wine oak sweetness, and it's dry, and I love it. I'm like you. I'm like, I don't know that a 97 is doing this justice, but that's where I landed it. And it is fantastic. Black tie event, absolutely. Game night, it has to be a pretty damn special game.
Yeah, and I said, and I know you mentioned game night because like I wouldn't really bring it to a game night like you. It'd have to be something special. So
yeah, this is not a. I don't know that, and I'm usually pretty open to be like, yeah, we'll blow a wad and take it to the. I don't know that the average person playing a game could appreciate this. I think you almost need to be focused on it, or at least for a moment until you realize, dude, it's getting like I literally think I did it an injustice. I don't know that I'm justified in giving it a 97 all of a sudden, but it keeps getting better.
you're still in your analysis. You can up it if you want.
For now, I will stick for a 97. I never thought anything would beat the Octomore 2 weeks ago.
I
literally didn't. But here it is.
Well, no, it's a tie for you though.
The Octomore?
Yeah, wasn't Octomore 97?
I think I only gave it a 96.
Pretty sure you gave it a 97. I think we both gave it 97.
Did we?
Is either that or the Grand Reserva we gave it 97 to, but I'm pretty sure it's Octomore.
Oh, man. Let me just peek real quick. Octomore, I gave a 96.
Oh, okay.
I never thought that anything would beat the Octomore.
Very different, though. This is very different than that.
Completely opposite.
Yeah. So, like, honestly, like, if you're looking for that heavy peat and like that like smokiness a little bit, the Octomore will blow this out of the water. But, like, this has, like, a little bit, this one's more elegant, I think.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to really jump into your.
No,
yours.
I think that's the perfect thing. I'm glad you said it because I don't know that I would have thought to point that out because it's always an assumption. Hey, Octomore, a super heavily peated Scotch, only available for a very limited run every year from Islay, is completely different than this. If you were trying to compare the two, there is no comparison. Like that is not the way to do it. You should actually probably not drink these two at the same sitting. And I am all about flights, but these two are so amazingly different and also amazing. They might almost ruin each other.
Yeah.
Last thing though, it doesn't have a place on the shelf. Absolutely.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out.
It's time for our shout
I'm
outs.
done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts.
Might get it together. Might be for maybe the human population of the world. Maybe it's just the British people. I'm not really sure. But the U.S., not the U.S. government, but the British government the other day came out and finally admitted the masks never protected people from COVID. So I don't know who's supposed to get together. Is it the British government? I don't know. Is it the real population? I don't know. Is it the British people? I don't know. But somebody needs to get their act together and not fall for everything that the so-called experts tell us and actually like look at like peer reviews and stuff like that.
Let's face the facts from the get-go. You and I were never people who believed in the masks.
No.
And this isn't about us. But at the same point, my whole point is because science, because math people like to say, I like to say because science, like, what the hell? But, man, maybe your get-together is also a shout-out because at least they're coming out, cleaning house, so to speak, and they're trying to make a point like, hey, they're going to try, like, we got fooled too, is I guess what they're saying. Don't let these people fool you into ruining our economy again because it would only get worse.
Well, here's what I don't get, right? The virus molecule is like, what, 0.02 microns or something? And like the fibers in a mask are so much larger than that.
The air gaps, yeah.
Yeah, they're like, there's no way. Like that means it's just going to like go through. It's like trying to stop a mosquito in a chain link fence. it's not gonna happen. Could the mosquito hit like the chain link part? Yeah, it could, but most likely it's gonna fly right through it.
Let's just take it from a whole different level. Let's just go here for 1 minute. Eyes. In the 80s, we learned stay away from people with AIDS.
Okay.
Because it's a virus. And if you get semen in your eyes, you can get the AIDS virus.
Who's going to get semen in their eyes?
I am just going to the point of semen is not airborne normally.
Normally.
However, what was?
It could shoot.
What was airborne? COVID all over the air, getting in your eyes left and right. That's not going to get you, but the semen is don't have sex, just say no. Man, we remember all the slogans. Yeah. Our generation was scarred by them. And with that, though, so we're worried about it from a liquid that is not airborne getting into your eyes. This is what we were told in high school, in middle school. But all of a sudden, just COVID, just wear this mask.
Yeah.
Come on. So I'm actually going to give them credit, though, to say, hey, by the way, like, wake up. You guys are all idiots. And I think it's the people.
I think it's all of it, all the above. People, government.
And for those of us in America, you got to understand there are so many countries around the world that have not flourished like we have, that have suffered far more than we are. It is interesting. Like, they are going to take different routes.
Yeah. Anyways, that was mine.
All right. I think that's great. So my shout out and or get together are potentially one or the other, but we're not going to know for a year. You know why?
Why?
Because Lewis Hamilton signed a contract to race for Ferrari next year. And I don't know if this is a shout out to a has-been Hamilton or to a could-be Ferrari, or if it's a get it together for what's about to be get it together fail Ferrari. And Hamilton, who's laughing all the way home with his millions, I'm sure it's 50 plus for the contract. Like, no way it's less. But the one thing I do want to say is the one thing I have always held against Hamilton versus other drivers, Juan Fangio being probably the greatest, is Hamilton has only ever won with one team. And the other drivers that I've always considered greats were drivers that went to another team, not after a current world champion or a previous world champion, aka Michael Schumacher, went to the Mercedes team, developed the car with Rosberg, and then handed it over essentially to Hamilton. But to someone who went to a car manufacturer, a Formula One team, and then created a team that won championships. Here's the tricky part. Here's where the clock, like it almost, I think it's probably an emotional or a staged decision. And that is, we've got 1 year from now before he'll race in the Ferrari. Then he's got 1 year before all the rules change again. So he doesn't have time to change a new car unless he's planning on being there for at least another 4 years.
Honestly, I think it's going to be a bust, but that's just my opinion.
I wouldn't doubt he never even gets in the car.
That's a possibility. I heard that too. I heard that there is a possibility he would not drive. So it seems like a weird deal if you ask me. And I think, were you the one who was saying like his backyard backs up against
backs to Total Wolf? And so here's the other thing that's super interesting about that. This all happens while Total Wolf's wife, who works for the FIA, was being investigated for the equivalent of insider secrets or insider trading between the FIA and her husband. And he's like, it's time to go. And then he's also saying, though, hey, did
Wolf retire?
No.
Oh.
He's still doing his thing. She's still doing her thing. Oh, the investigation got dropped. And what I will respect, this is a shout out to all the teams actually got up and they're like, none of us said any of this about her or him. And at the end of the day, there's no secrets. There are no secrets. They like literally, the FI literally is like, here's the plan, guys. Like, she's not going to have a secret. And all the teams stepped up and said, hey, this is bogus. Drop this crap. Let's not do this right before we start another great year of Formula One racing, because it is literally right before. Like, let's just get back to racing. And then they go to the award ceremony that Formula One does every year. And they're like, oh, right before the award ceremony, oh, we have dropped the investigation. It's not warned. All this. It's like,
doesn't the new season start like in 2 weeks or something?
yeah, we're a few weeks away.
Yeah.
So good for us. But it is interesting that all of that, that's why they call it the silly season in Formula One. What the hell is going on?
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts.
So this week we mixed it up a little bit. We did have a few options to go to new restaurants. However, we chose to do something else. And what we chose to do was go back to some restaurants of which we hadn't given modern or current scores to. So we went back to Twin Peaks, and this is the one off of Arapahoe Road in Centennial. And we also went back to FuNuGyz, which is off of Cottonwood, right at Parker Road. And we had some meals and we had some fun, and it was pretty enlightening to me on both occasions. So ultimately what I would say is, let's review Twin Peaks, back and forth, review FuNuGyz, and if there was one, which would the one be?
Okay.
All right, you want to start?
I'll start. First of all, with Twin Peaks, obviously the location hasn't changed or anything like that, so it still sucks trying to get into the parking lot. Although this parking lot was a little bit more well lit than some of the other parking lots.
Agreed.
Walking in, it's like you're kind of going into, I don't necessarily want to say like a log cabin, but it's like something you see more like in the mountains than you would like in a cityscape area. The wait staff is women. And they still have like the short shorts. It is wintertime, so you saw them wearing like Sorel, like winter boots. And the one thing I noticed is like they changed their tops. Their tops were no longer the flannel lumberjack type of tops.
Tied.
That were tied. Now they're like some like short crop top type of
Soccer jersey type of thing.
Soccer jerseys like that had like a flannel print on it. And honestly, I think they should go back to the flannel tops.
Do you?
Yeah.
I kind of like the sporty football.
I like the flannel tops more. Any case, should I just jump into food real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
All right, so I think we basically got the same meal
At both places.
At both places. I forget exactly what it was called, like the brisket nachos.
Double stack brisket nachos.
Double stack brisket nachos. I thought it was great. One of the things I loved about the nachos is, at least on the menu, it said that they just used melted cheddar. And I really have, a dislike for places that use that nacho cheese fake stuff that looks like plastic. Although near the end of my my meal, I feel like they actually did use some of that nacho cheese in there, because like it looked like a couple spots looked like it was more like that soupy plastic nacho cheese stuff rather than melted cheddar. But I didn't really, if they did use that, shame on them as far as my opinion goes. But I didn't notice it till the end, so that's fine too. But it had great flavor. The brisket was great. The salsa that they had off to the side, I don't even know if that was called, but that tasted great. But I didn't discover that till way later, until after you told me about it.
I'm like, try this.
Because I was already enjoying my meal so much. I like these nachos are great, and they give you a nice amount of like guacamole on there. The one problem I had, at least with my nachos, is I got they gave me some fatty pieces from the brisket in there. And so that part I didn't really enjoy too much with my nachos. But overall, once again, I'm very impressed with Twin Peaks and their food. Would I meet a friend there? Definitely. I paused there because I was like, would I take a date there? And I'm like, I don't know, because here's the thing. The food is great. I think like if the food is date worthy. But you're going to like a place that's kind of similar to like a mountain version of Hooters, I guess. Like,
what are Twin Peaks, Dad? Well, son, let me explain. We'll just go to the restaurant. You can see for yourself.
But here's the thing is like, you actually saw like women in there with their boyfriends or women in there with their husbands and stuff. So I suppose if a woman's not offended by it, then sure, I guess you can have a date there. I'm just not sure that would be my ideal spot to take a date there. Unless it's like on the way to doing something else and it's something, whatever. I don't think it's a destination spot. But I think they have like it's a great spot to if you want to watch a sports game and have good food. The wait staff, or at least the waitress that we had, I don't near the end she became a lot more friendly. I think she was not having a good day that day. She seemed like she didn't want to be there, or it was near the end of her shift, or she's having a bad day or something. But after I asked her about her tattoo, all of a sudden she actually got kind of excited and was a lot more friendly to us. But that was like 10 minutes before we left, so that doesn't really count. So overall, food, I give that a good solid 9. The atmosphere inside, this time around I enjoyed it better, but then I think again you didn't have any like really creepy like dads trying to like do something with their kid there, so it was a much more enjoyable atmosphere this time around. I give it an 8. And then as far as the wait staff goes, I was kind of disappointed in our waitress, so that's like a 6. I don't think she did a very good job up front. I think after we talked about the tattoo, that's when I think she showed her potential. And if we had that kind of potential from the get go, or that kind of service from the get go, I would have given a much higher rating for the service. So overall, I would say it's probably about a 7.5, I guess. I think what really brings it down was the service. I was kind of put off a little bit by the service. But it's like 7.5 to an 8.
All right. Well, I'm right there in line with you pretty close. So Twin Peaks, my first experience there was not a good one, mostly because I was disgusted by these two dads talking to their young sons about, wait, let's get your picture taken with the eye candy. And that is what ruins a setting like that for me. However, this time around, as you mentioned, everyone there was very mature. And I actually think that's how it should be. Even the ladies. So when I say the ladies there were there in groups of ladies or with other men. I thought it was fantastic. So much like Noah, I had the double stacked brisket nachos. $14.29, worth every penny. That was a lot of food. It was really good, followed by a Voodoo Ranger IPA. They only offer it in a small pour because it's their highest alcohol content beer. $6.29 for that. And then the Stone Tangerine Express IPA, tall pour, $8.69. Overall, my experience was good. I did enjoy the atmosphere. I gave an 8. The environment outside, it's just a difficult one to get to because of the way it's located off of Arapahoe Road, although there may be a different way that we just haven't found yet that's super convenient and we're just not aware of it. The service, I gave a little bit higher than you did. I think the service ultimately was, for me, an 8 because I'm not considering this a high-end restaurant. I will admit she wasn't great, but the service wasn't bad. Food for me was a 9. The only thing that stopped the food from being a 10 for me was, even though they're my favorite style of chips, the thin cantina style of chips, you brought this up and I agree, man. Like if I was to make this plate in a restaurant, I'd have 2 thickness of chips because that's who I am. And I'd had the thin cantina style chips on the bottom, topped with some thicker ones so they didn't get just all soggy instantly because those cantina style chips are so thin and crispy and delicious. However, the moment they get some brisket on them, they do soak up the fat and the juice and they become
less than crispy.
Yeah. But that's the only thing that kept the food from being a 10. Otherwise, the food is a 9. Overall value, an 8. And with that, my total score, when I do the math, ends up being an 8. Would I meet a friend there? Absolutely. Guy or girl? I would meet a friend there. Would I take a date there? not by my choice. However, if she asked, I wouldn't hesitate, but I wouldn't say, hey, let's go here, because to me, that would almost be disrespectful. And so it's interesting because I don't think it's wrong. However, if I think for 1 second that she would catch me or imagine catching me looking at one of the young ladies in their outfits, then that's where it's also an environment situation that now I have ruined the atmosphere if I am not careful. And then also
You set yourself up to fail.
right. And if she's not self-confident, I'm setting myself up to fail there too. If I'm like, hey, she's not going to feel comfortable. Like, so not unless a date asked, otherwise it is not a destination. But the nachos, we went there praying we were going to get the fries, the sweet pork fries we got last time, no longer on the menu. These brisket nachos were pretty damn good though.
Yeah,
maybe even better.
All right, FuNuGyz. Parking lot, it's okay. The lighting outside, it's actually well lit there too, which is kind of nice. The inside, definitely a pub atmosphere. You got a couple like billiard tables off to the right. It's pretty open air and it's darkly lit, so it's not very well lit in there. It's just basically your typical bar that you would expect to kind of go into. The food, I went with the Blackjack Burger, which has Anaheim chili pepper on there with cheddar cheese, I believe it was, and annoli, and I thought it was great. I loved it actually. I was telling Jesse when I lived in Utah, there was a place called Apollo Burger that had this Anaheim burger that I used to get all the time because I loved it. And this was right up there. This had great flavor with the Anaheim chili pepper on there and stuff like that. I like this burger a lot. On Mondays there at FuNuGyz, or FuNuGyz. I don't know how you pronounce it. FuNuGyz.
I think it's supposed to be FuNuGyz, but I always say FuNuGyz too.
Okay. But in any case, I loved the burger there. It was a great burger. On Mondays, it's half off, so it's $8. Well, it's $7 for the burger, but then they charge you $1 for the fries or $1 for the tots. So really $8. Unless you're getting, I think, probably like
regular French fries.
Well, that's for the regular French fries or tots. It's $1. But I believe for anything like sweet potatoes, it's like sweet potato fries or anything like that. I think it's like an extra $2.
No, like how I understood it is you get fries, but if you want tots or sweet potato fries or anything else, then you pay the $1 upcharge. Because mine was a $1 upcharge too, and I had the sweet potato fries.
All right, well, there we go. Anyways, I'm going to give the burger a 9. I like the burger a lot. Actually, this time around, being at this place, I thought the waitress did a great job. Up until the end.
Yeah, she
kind of disappeared.
for a moment.
She kind of disappeared, but up to that point, she was doing pretty well. So I'm gonna give her a 7. The atmosphere there, I don't know. I'm not usually a big fan of going there because of the atmosphere, because it tends to be a little loud in there, and it's kind of like a weird. I think when I was younger, going to a place like this, we would call it like a meat market place. But this, like, because there
was no meat.
Yeah, there was like no meat there, or if there was meat, it's like aged meat.
Oh my god! Hey, you're gonna pay a lot for that.
I probably will. But it's like an aged meat market.
Dude, aged steaks are so expensive. They really are. Dry aged and man.
Yeah. Any case.
Tons of flavor though. Tons of flavor. And tender.
I don't know about that. I mean, steaks, yes.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about, your steaks.
So value, I thought the value was great. As we got sidetracked there.
Love my expensive old meat.
Would I take a date there? Probably not. When I meet a friend there, most definitely. Once again, I'm gonna give it overall an 8. I think 8's a pretty good deal for it. It's not a destination for me, but I could see going there on Mondays because A, it's nearby, B, the pricing was good. And honestly, on Monday night, it wasn't super loud like it's been the last couple times I've been there. So that part I didn't mind.
All right. Well, as Noah mentioned, FuNuGyz there. My experience is a little bit different than yours. It sounds like more different than it was at Twin Peaks. But I do love the fact that you brought up, and this is something to consider, the importance of anyone in any relationship, in this case a waitress, being present at the beginning versus the end. Like, when should you deliver? And it may be different for everyone. Anyway, again, half price burger Monday, which ultimately means 7 price burger Monday. Pay $1 for the upcharge for tots. Dude, the tots were the bomb. On February, Tuesday, the first Tuesday of every February is National Tater Tot Day. I went to Sonic and was so disappointed. But I went there because everyone else was packed when I was going to go get my tots. And I literally, to this point, I'm like disgusted. I ate them because I bought them. And even right now, days later, I'm like disgusted. Also, my sweet potato waffle fries I thought were delicious. And what was beautiful about them, value-wise, is you got a ton of tots, and I had a damn tray full of my sweet potato fries. I actually had to work to eat them all. The burger, so the blackjack burger, you mentioned this, cheddar cheese, blackened seasoning, Anaheim peppers, bacon, chipotle and aioli, and then my sweet potato waffle fries. All of that for $8 was a steal. I had a Palisade peach on draft, which was a treat because once in a while you get them and it's perfect, and this one was perfect. $6.50. Ultimately, I gave the environment. The parking lot is not sexy, but it's not bad, and also you can get to it pretty easily from multiple directions. I got it. 8. Atmosphere inside, I don't mind that atmosphere. I actually like that atmosphere. The last several times, I usually go during lunchtime and it's quiet. So maybe that could be a difference too. I like the atmosphere. Also an 8. The service tonight could have been a little bit better, but ultimately I gave the service an 8 as well. The food was a 9. And actually I should probably have given it a 10, but my burger was perfect. Medium rare. They got the temperature literally perfect. I didn't need to add anything to this burger to enjoy every last bite. And then value, absolutely a 9 at that price. I wish the beers might have been a little bit cheaper, but I could have also just bought a cheaper beer because they do have some pretty sweet or sick happy hour deals where you get some local beers, not local, domestic drafts, but not craft beers for like $3, $3.50, I think it was. Ultimately, overall, an 8.4. Would I meet a friend there? Absolutely. Now, here's where you and I differ. I actually would take a date here because it's not like you're going to a meat market. You're going for a decent bar. And from my last several experiences, great food. Like, literally, the food has been great. I would have actually preferred, though, that karaoke or something was going on as a little bit of a distraction because it was sad in there. That's the one reason the atmosphere only got an 8 is because it was so dead on a Monday night, and they were reserving all these prime tables for their pool league, and that kind of took away some of the sexiness because when those 80-year-old pool players started showing up, I was just like, and it's time to go. We're out.
Aged meat market.
Yeah. For me, though, here's what's interesting. If I'm just going for a quick bite for some great food and pretty damn good service and location, to me, this is a destination. If you haven't tried it, go try their chips, their homemade chips and salsa, delicious. Their lunchtime slider, happy deal, happy meal, also delicious. The burgers tonight were fantastic. I cannot think of a meal I've had there or a snack I've had there that I didn't love. So for me, it is a destination.
Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out. Die with my own doubts.
All right, to quite simply sum it up, part of this was to make a commitment, and then as each other's accountability, take the necessary steps to be there and present enough without potentially becoming overbearing. And really for us ourselves to think about, what is it we need from an accountability buddy? What is it we're really looking for? And my guess is, particularly for neither of us, we're not looking for a damn drill sergeant.
No, not at all. In fact, I don't think I even asked you once how often anyway. I must have been a crappy accountability.
So I will actually say you weren't, but we'll get there. When you think about the basics with this, what is it with a commitment? So Noah's commitment was to go to the gym between last podcast and this one 3 times.
Right.
Mine was 7. We both accomplished. What is it that you really... was there something you were looking for in an accountability buddy?
Well, here's the thing. Actually, a couple of my mentors in the past said that if you're motivated enough, you don't need someone to be accountable to. It's because that you have the want and desire and the drive to achieve whatever it is you want to go do in the first place. So really having someone to be accountable to in that sense, if it's a goal that you're going after, you really shouldn't need to have one. But here's the thing is like the average person or most people, that's not the case, right? I mean, like my mentors, they're all multi-million-dollar people. So they've, obviously that for them that's driven, but they even have people that they're accountable to, because I know a couple of them are trying to get into like the higher ranks there as far as like earning more money, and having more success. So here's the thing, having someone to be accountable to, you don't necessarily need to have, in my opinion, from my own experience, is that you don't need someone to be there hounding you every moment of every day or whatever, saying like, hey, where you at? But you have to have some sense of a relationship, or a sense of like, you don't want to let that person down, as well as you don't want to let yourself down. And so here, I think this worked out well for both of us, because like I didn't want to let you down by not showing up and doing my own, what I committed to. And even, it took me to the wire, but I got it done. And I even let you know too. I was like, hey, I'm doing this, and I made my final day into the gym. So I think a part of it is you need someone who understands you in a sense, willing to hold you accountable when necessary. But I think at the same time, when you choose a person that you want to be, hold you accountable, it should be someone that you don't want to necessarily let down. Because here's the thing, and I had an old manager say this: don't ever make me be your manager, right? Just do what you're supposed to do, and don't make me be your manager. So in this case, it's like, don't make your accountability buddy be like a drill sergeant to you. So just do it. I think that's kind of like my slight takeaway here.
Yeah, no, I agree for me as well. So I would phrase for myself, even though I think we're super similar, a different piece of competition involved. And at the end of the day, people work to avoid negative consequences. What we have to figure out when we're being either a boss or a friend or a partner or anything is, where do we need to lean in or not lean in to be a good accountability buddy. An accountability buddy can be accountability partner. It can be accountability friend. It can be whatever the circumstance lays into. But the thing is, it is very specific to the person of what is the point where they will take action to avoid a negative consequence. Now, I think for me, the biggest piece is, if I make a commitment, the negative consequence I don't want to fail is to myself. And I think here's what's interesting. I have made so many commitments at work and in other stages of life that I've actually killed personal relationships because I make these commitments, but I am very cautious not to overcommit, especially outside of work. So if I make a commitment and my 7 workouts, I was like, okay, if I miss one day, I'll do 2 the next. And I know I can physically do that, so I'm good. And I followed the rules and I followed the parameters, and we both got it done. But I think that's a big piece for me is, just making sure that I was competing to make sure if I mentioned something to you, this is what I'm going to get done. I freaking got it done. So as far as an accountability buddy, it was someone who was like, neither of us really had to follow up with each other, but we put it out there. But where we won, and you made this comment, and this was a great comment that you made, is you let me know. So it was still on both of our minds. Hey, we made this commitment. We're on track. We're not on track. Where are we at? But part of the accountability piece is, as far as a good accountability buddy in my mind, is you're not a damn drill sergeant. You're not harping unless somebody absolutely needs that. Neither of us want that. Hopefully neither of us need that. But the bigger point is, it's this piece of, hey, tell me where you're at. Let me keep track. And more so, it's caring. It's hey, we both want to lose a couple lbs or gain some muscle or do this or gain more energy. Whatever our goals are, we're aimed at doing that, and we're there for the other person to be like, hey, where you at? It's that simple.
Yeah, it is that simple. And I think also a good thing to note is that if you are choosing someone to be accountable to it or hold you accountable to your goals or whatever you're trying to do, you have to choose the right person. And it has to be someone that you trust, because here's the thing, when it comes to when you're pursuing something, like if it's a goal, it has to be realistic to you, right? And it might seem a little bit crazy to other people, but it has to be stretchingly realistic. Because if I say like, oh, I'm just gonna go to the gym one day, like, well, anyone can just do it one day, right? But the thing is, like, you don't want your goal to be so weak that you don't really need to be accountable or have someone hold you accountable. But at the same time, you don't want to be super crazy either, saying like, I'm gonna go 20 times in a week, right? But whoever it is that you're trusting to be your accountability buddy or person or whatever, it has to be something that you can trust, that you can share what your goal is, that they're not going to laugh at you. They're not, they're going to support you or whatever. And then, kind of help guide you if you fall off the rails a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with what you just said 100%. And I think when we were making this commitment a week ago now, one of the things we talked about to each other is like, hey, like, if we didn't do it on the air, we did it afterwards. Are you good with this goal? And I think a really, truly great accountability buddy is someone who's not trying to keep track of your every damn move. That's weird. But what isn't weird is just someone who's like, hey man, I hear your commitment. Are you good with this? Are you doing this with the right tools? Can you actually accomplish this, or are you already overcommitting? Because the moment an accountability buddy lets you overcommit, this can be a parent, it can be a friend, again, a lover or spouse, anyone. And the moment someone lets you overcommit, they're letting you fail. They're setting you up for failure.
Right.
And I think that was part of what was great is I think you knew, hey, Jesse's been doing this for a couple of weeks now. He says 7. He's got this. And when you said 3, I was like, I actually think this is great. Because that's another thing is you have to trust an accountability buddy. And you're like, hey, trust that I know, Jesse, I'm doing a ton of X and Y and Z, and you had a lot going on this past week. And I could have been a dick and be like, I won't be a drill sergeant. You need to do 6 if I'm going to do 7. No. Like, hey, 3s where you are comfortable landing and it's still an accomplishment, that's a win. And I think that's a big piece of being, again, a friend or anyone that is being, accountable is an accountability buddy is ultimately a friend who's like, I'm not going to let you overcommit because I don't want you to fail. I want you to win. And I will actually tell you, hey, yeah, Jesse, 14 workouts, you're being a goof. Like, don't be a Ghostbuster, buddy. Like, not this week. Just go with 7.
Right. So I do think like, if you have major goals in life, you definitely need to have someone to keep you accountable, and it is an important part of your progress and growth to have that as well. And I think this really goes hand in hand with your last Smart Challenge with overcommitting, because part of like setting your goal or part of whatever you're trying to achieve, or whoever you're trying to be accountable to, is that most likely you're being accountable to yourself. Ultimately, that's where it boils down to, is accountability to yourself. Because there is a habit that we get ourselves into. if we allow ourselves to slip once or we fail once, then it's really easy for us to build that habit of continue to fail in our obligations or in our goals. And so then at that point, we are no longer hitting what we wanted to hit or get the goals that we wanted to do. This also coincides with overcommitting, because you might overextend yourself, and because you overextend yourself, now all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is way too big. I can't do this anymore. And now I've started a systematic waterfall trickle down effect of failures all the way down. And at a certain point, you just, a person can get to like, screw it, whatever, I'm done, I'm failed. And then they just continue to fail. So I think by your accountability person, trusting them to also like be honest with you, saying, hey, I think you might be overcommitting, is a good aspect.
Yeah.
It really is.
I agree. And it's also hard.
It is.
Especially if you've got any sort of real friend, or if it's a partner, like, oh, yeah. You want to do it 4 times on your birthday? Good luck. I mean, let's start with 2. But otherwise, as a friend, hey, dude, what's that movie, World's End, where they go to, is it like 13 breweries? Yeah,
something like that. And they find out it's like aliens or robots or something. Yeah.
But with all of that, it's like, okay, like, hey, man, let's go to 13 breweries on my 48th birthday. Hey, man, let's start with 6.
Right?
And that's over the course of a week, okay? Like, just making it more realistic. I love what you said, because it's 100% true. Because if you are a friend, if you do care about this person, you don't want them to fail. Because once they start to fail, you are creating a perpetual disaster. You're creating future potential for more failure, versus I went 3 times this week, I'm going to go 4 next week. Hey, guess what? Does that work for your schedule? Oh, no. Can you still go 3? Yeah, great. Okay. Right. 2 weeks later. I'm going to go 3 times again. Hey, wait a minute. Like, how's your schedule this week? It's completely open. Hey, now might be the time to go 4. Can you go 4? Yeah, you sure? Yeah, good.
Yeah, I think that's also a good part that you're talking about right there. Is about building good habits. Because you have to build you have to get yourself in the habit. Once you get into the habit, and this is the same thing with winning or even losing. Once you get into the habit of like winning, like you got to celebrate your little wins, and that'll eventually get you to the big goal or to the big win. And once you get into that hypnotic, I guess I don't want to say trance, but there's a book I read that talks about it, but it's basically you're on that frequency where you just continue to go and you hit it and you hit it and you hit it. And then it works opposite in the opposite direction too. And so I think you make a good point there. Like your accountability, your accountability person saying like, hey, hey, you might be overcommitting this one. Let's make sure you can hit what you're going to hit. And then when they're like a week is a little bit more open, like, okay, now let's try to bump it up and build that habit to where you want to get to that spot you want to get to. Because once you get into that habit, once you're in a habit, it's just automatic at that point.
Yeah.
So yeah, good. That was good. I like that point that you made there.
All right. Well, anything else you want to drill in here, or?
No, not really. I think it's important. I think it works with having success, and it really plays into some of the other stuff that you've talked about or had us talk about.
Yeah, no, that's part of the goal. Is part of our smaller challenges to help us and you grow.
Nice. All right, I guess for are we
ready for next week?
All right, so next week's Smarter Challenge. It will be looking at the B-17 Flying Fortress of World War II. And with this, you don't have to watch it because I know you don't really watch a ton of TV. But I do suggest maybe we watch the first 3 episodes of the it's the new TV series that came out. I think Masters of the Air on Apple TV.
Okay.
And it's about the 100th Air Squadron that flew the B-17s into Germany and stuff, and did a lot of the bombings. So.
All right.
So I think it'd be kind of interesting to kind of look at a history of like a World War II, B-17, and Flying Fortress. I really love like the TV series Band of Brothers from HBO and Pacific. But those were about the European theater and the Japanese or the Pacific Theater. And then this is a new look, but looking at it from like the airman perspective, from the bombers and what they went through and stuff like that. So I think that'd be kind of interesting to
I think
talk
it'll
about.
be great.
All right. I guess to close it up here, I'll simply say thank you to everyone who's lasted this long. Thank you to watching us on YouTube and Rumble. We greatly appreciate all of you guys who do that. And to all of you who listen to us on the many different podcast platforms that you may listen to us on, we greatly appreciate you listening to us this evening as well. If you do like our content, please like, share, and subscribe. And also leave some comments down below, and we'll get to those and answer you. And we love seeing what your guys' point of views are, and whether or not you agree or disagree with us on our tastings. It's always awesome to hear from all of you as well. And with that, I'll pass it over to Jesse to close us out.
Remember, drink responsibly. Please don't drink and drive. So, yeah. Just don't do it. Please don't drink and drive. Drink responsibly. Remember, life is great. That does not mean it's going to be easy. Actually, if it's too easy, you won't appreciate what you've got. But also, with some of our last shows, like really consider about history. I think you brought up some great points there. But then also think about, how do you layer on your own learnings? How do you layer on overcommitting, but then bringing in other people? Because sometimes we're blindsided, whether or not you're severely narcissistic, we're blindsided by our own potential. So bringing in partners, there are accountability buddies, and or being accountable for yourself and also your kids. Lots of different ways to look at that. But remember, life is great. That does not mean it's going to be easy. And until next week,
Scotchman!
Cheers.
Cheers. We hope you enjoyed this evening's episode of Scotch Hour. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you have not done so already, please become a Patron member, with memberships starting as low as $1 a month. Thank you, and hopefully you have a wonderful evening.